Okay. All right. So we are live, local, and late breaking. I'm checking Facebook just to make sure we're in the clear. And we are. All right. So good afternoon. Good afternoon for those of you who are jumping in. Um, we are talking from the tag A Promise is a Promise today. I'm talking around the topic of fertility and just kind of exploring different women's fertility journey because everybody is different. Nobody's body is made the same. And so we all go through different stuff, but there are a lot of things that we do actually go through that are similar. And I think it's important to create a conversation where everybody can be supported through their journey. A lot of times, many people think that, I'm the only one that goes through this. I'm the only one that faced this. I'm the only one that had these feelings, when a lot of times we share a lot of the same experiences. We share a lot of the same feelings. And it's important that you just have somebody that you can relate to, somebody that sounds like you, that looks like you. And so we are jumping into this topic today. Oh Lord, my mother, she's the admin. She said, please remember to share your posts, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks, bye.
Yes, ma'am, Miss Dunny.
So we're just going to open up with you guys just giving your name, how many children you do have, and one fun fact about yourself. And then we're going to play a little icebreaker question game just so people can get to know you, because we're not going to make this too heavy. Like, everybody's face is beat. So like, we're not doing it. We're not doing it. So I'm going to see. I'm going to go Ebony, Nay, Shar, because that's how y'all popping up on my screen. And then we'll go the opposite way as we work through this situation. Ebony.
Hey, girl.
Hey, girl.
Hey. So, my name is Ebony Ford. I have one child. Her name is Rain Victoria. And a fun fact, I have never driven. I'm deathly afraid of driving.
You never driven a
car?
car?
Accidents. I am deathly afraid of driving. Like, deathly afraid. I can't even fall asleep in the car. Like, I'm like that on edge. So I said I was going to conquer it for my 35th birthday. I turned 35 in December. So I'm going to conquer it. But people are always shocked when I say that. Like, what? You never driven? Never driven.
That I believe that. My aunt is, how old is Aunt Joanne? I don't know. 60 something. And she just started like getting her license and stuff. And she had spent her entire life like not driving. Just her husband took her wherever she wanted to go. And that was just, and when he wouldn't, it was public transportation. So I believe it. I'm shocked, but I believe it. But we gonna believe God for your drivingization, because I'm gonna need you to get that all the way together. Amen. Nay.
Hello, I am Charnay. I have one little human, a little boy. And a fun fact about me is I'm a lefty.
That's why you so brilliant. I knew it was something. I knew that. Amen. I didn't know that. And I've known you for years and I never knew that. Never really paid it no attention. Amen. Mommy didn't like that you called the baby a new human. All righty, Shar.
I am Sharday Shelton. I have 2 kids. So I guess that makes me the baby mama. And fun fact, I am terrified of The Lion King.
The movie?
Don't ask no questions. I don't like it. It is a very traumatic movie to show a child.
You're right.
I don't like nothing about it.
But you're not a child no more.
I saw it as a child.
So kids are not gonna watch The Lion King.
Kayla has never seen it.
You haven't let Kayla see The Lion King?
By the way, y'all. She's never seen it. No, she can watch it. Not in my house, but she can watch it. No, it's a traumatic movie. Like she can watch it on her own. I am not sitting down watching it. I've seen it once.
Okay. We gonna let you. Okay. It's The Lion King.
I mean, so what?
Okay, that's
that
fine.
man's brother killed him and then ate his body. No.
But then look at how far Simba got. Like,
no.
Because he ended up, finding himself and going on a journey. None of that matters. It's just okay, that's fine. Hey man, that's fine. I'm speechless completely.
Wow.
But it's fine. I'm not judging, but I am, because it's the Lion King. Like, it's the Lion King. Oh, we lost somebody. Okay, that's fine. We wait for her to jump back on. So I have a couple questions for you guys, just to get to know you questions, so that your audience can kind of get to know you on a more personal level. What is the last song that you listened to? And it better be something gospel. It's like, no. What was the last song that you listened to or played?
The last song I played was actually in the car this morning, coming back from Target. I didn't play it. Like, does it on the radio count, or the last song I played?
Like, what's the last song you wanted to hear? Like, that you played yourself, not that was just on the radio.
The Elmo slide.
The whole
Elmo slide. He got like a little cha-cha slide going on. Yeah.
Y'all are mothers. Nay.
Mine was the ABC sung by India Irie and Elmo. That's the one.
Okay. Ebony, the question is, what was the last song you played and actually wanted to listen to, like, not on the radio? And I just need you to give me something that's not Disney, not ABC's 1, 2, 3s. We just.
So you want me to lie? Okay.
Oh my gosh! What you was watching? Coco Melon?
No, it's a song called "Open Shut Them." It's called by Super Simple Songs. My daughter's obsessed with it, and I have the whole Kids Bop is on my phone. Like, my library has been taken over. Like, this is toddler life. Like, this is kid life. This is what happens. But yesterday, I did listen to Yeba's CD for the first time. It's a song called "October Sky" that I just keep replaying over and over again. Her album is amazing.
I appreciate you. I'm just not going to say what I listened to, because it wasn't nothing educational. It was nothing inspiring. I am a diehard Mega Stallion. I don't call her Megan Thee Stallion. I call her Mega Stallion. I'm a diehard Mega Stallion fan. So that was the last thing I played. And I don't care. I don't care. But I'm gonna have to try that India Irie one though, Nay. That's probably hot. Okay, next question. Which one of the Snow White 7 dwarfs describes you best? So we have bashful, doc, dopey, grumpy, happy, sleepy, or sneezy. Which one describes you at this moment, at this moment in season of your life? Which one describes you best?
I'm gonna say sleepy, because 3-year-olds have an unlimited amount of energy. So I'm gonna say sleepy right now.
Okay. Shar?
Probably, you're not gonna believe it, but bashful.
I believe it.
I'm not this person. And
I appreciate you
my mother-in-law. I'm like, hopefully it's like talking to my girlfriends, because I have to keep that mindset. Because if not, I'm gonna be like, no, ma'am.
It is. It's just us. It's just us. It's fine. Okay, bashful.
Watches on Facebook. But
no, don't count that part. Don't count that part. Just count the we just chilling. That's all. Nay.
I would say bashful. It's like two sides to me. Two sides. But I'm more bashful than what I put out.
Okay. So what was the weirdest craving you had while you were pregnant? If you had any, because some people don't.
So I craved red meat. Like, I had to have red meat. It didn't matter how. So one day I wanted beef lo mein, but I also wanted Chick-fil-A grilled nuggets. So I got the genius idea to chop up the nuggets and put it in the beef lo mein. And my husband was like gagging the whole time, but it was life for me. And now I look back at it like, that's disgusting. Or why do you just get them to put chicken in it? But I wanted the grilled nuggets. So yeah, and then I also cried the next day when they didn't have any more. So yeah.
Okay. Nay, what was your weirdest craving?
I had to have a PB&J every day. Nothing really weird. I had to have red meat every day, hamburgers. If I ate sushi, it had to be with a cheeseburger. It couldn't be like two separate. It had to be like a bite of sushi and a bite of a cheeseburger at the same time.
That's two different types of meals, though. Like
I had to go to the sushi place and then McDonald's or Sonic or Wendy, anybody that had cheeseburgers. It was definitely, I would say cheeseburgers. Yeah, red meat. Like she said, anything red meat. Steak, potatoes, all that. And mind you, I was vegan before I was pregnant. So that's how I knew. Yep. Mm-hmm.
The baby definitely changed that because I don't think hamburgers is vegan.
No, it's not.
Not at McDonald's. Shaw, what was your weirdest craving?
It wasn't weird. With Kayla, even though that was 15 years ago, child, but with Kayla, I wanted cereal. Just Frosted Flakes, Apple Jacks. Like, with Kirsten, I am not an adventurous eater, so I eat a lot of the same things. So with Kirsten, it was fried shrimp and fries. And on Sundays, I had to have roast beef, but you got to like shred it up and put the gravy and stuff on it. So roast beef and rice. I would eat that every Sunday. And a Pepsi. Don't forget my Pepsi.
Wow. Okay. We could go with that. We could go with that. And then the last question, and then we're going to jump into our topic for today. Complete this sentence. I wish everyone would blank.
I wish everyone would mind their business and the world would be such a better place. Just mind the business that you can afford, that pays you.
All that.
All of that. Mm-hmm.
Every ounce of it. It looks like you got an amen corner over here because it looks like that they agreeing with. And I was actually gonna say the same thing. I wish everyone would drink their water and mind their business. But yeah, we get okay. So are you adding to that? Go for it. Go for it.
Since Ebony said mind your own business, I'm gonna say mind your own uterus and leave.
Yes. Mind your own uterus for 400, Alex. Period. Nay, are you adding to the mind your owns?
Yes, mind your own business and then respect mom's boundaries. Respect the boundaries that we create for our new little ones.
Agreed. My mother just played with me. She said 400 years ago with Lily, it was tuna fish out the can. Not 400 years ago, sis. Not 400. Especially since I'm only 22. We're not doing that. All right, so that works. So we're gonna go with the senses of mind your own business, mind your own uterus, and let's respect these boundaries. We actually had a question that we'll jump into a little bit later that talks about boundaries, because a lot of people don't know them, or if they know, they don't care. And then when you pop off, it's like, and you seen the boundaries, sis. Like, I don't understand why you saw the line and you still decided to cross it. So that is one of the questions that I'm the parent and that's on period. Wow. Okay. We can go with that. Okay. Amen. So we're going to dive into this conversation. The ladies are going to briefly just kind of give us some key things in their fertility journey that they believe would definitely be beneficial for other women who are watching, not just women, but even men. We do have to understand that, especially if you have a partner who is very supportive, that when you lose a child, they do too. And so we definitely not leaving the brothers out of this equation. I just knew that the sisters would talk more than the brothers. So definitely don't want to leave the guys out of the equation, because it's hard for them as well to have to support the mother at that point through the process, as well as dealing with his own emotions and his feel on losing a baby, or even just struggling to be pregnant. because a lot of this isn't just about miscarriages. Some of it is just the issues that women have with having a baby. Getting pregnant is hard for a lot of more people than what we thought. As I was doing research this week, it's like it's a lot. It's definitely something that we should talk about more often. I think awareness definitely helps. So these ladies are going to jump in, just share briefly their stories, and then a couple people, well, a lot of ladies actually sent in questions, so we'll dive into those after the ladies finish. Whoever wants to go first, rock, paper, scissors, shoot, and just let us know, like what did your fertility journey look like, and what were some big takeaways for you? We can't all be mute. Okay, I'm about to say we can't all sit on mute, Jesus. Okay,
yeah, I'll break the ice because I've told my story a million times, so I can kind of tell it automated at this point. So my husband and I were married in 2012, and we knew right off the bat, well before we were still just best friends, thinking about dating, that we wanted a family. And the assumption is, when you do it God's way, it's going to happen. Everything's going to be great. And it's going to be a fairy tale. And it started off that way. Got pregnant immediately. Everything was seemingly great. A lot was happening for my husband. For those, my husband's name is Ryan Ford. So he has a gospel ministry here. He's a musician. So there were things happening. There was some light on us, which I know Sade can definitely relate to. People are looking, and it was a big celebration. It was great. Just got married, baby on the way, boom. When I was 6 months pregnant, I was diagnosed with lupus. I started having really high fevers, rashes, all kinds of things I couldn't explain. And it had been happening for a couple of years, but it took me being pregnant for the test to actually pop up positive. It's called the ANA test, to pop up positive that I actually had it. So while navigating that, at 32 weeks, just four.
Ebony? Okay, there you go. Wait a minute, maybe not.
4 days. Can you guys hear me and see me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. So just a few days before my baby shower, I got a high fever. It was like 104 something. I was not feeling well at all. So I went into my doctor. He was just like, it's probably lupus, blah, blah, blah. Take this, go home. And I went home. I slept a lot like that next day, but I noticed I wasn't feeling as much movement. Went into the doctor. Doctor was packed, really couldn't get me in. Sends me to the emergency room because my blood pressure was high, I had a fever, etc. Waited for hours and hours and hours and hours. Drew my blood, and they say, okay, well, let's try to get a Doppler. Let's see what baby is doing. And it was in that ultrasound that we found out not only did our daughter not have a heartbeat, but her cord was wrapped around her neck and had actually snapped. So the fever that I had was actually infection setting in. Rushed me up. I'm just speeding through, deliver my daughter. Completely devastating to everyone and everything. Imagine all motions, people coming in, food ready, gifts ready, decor ready, and you got to call everybody and say, stop the show. So at that point, just utter devastation. We began to heal our hearts. We're not thinking about having another baby. We're just trying to heal and trying not to go crazy. Active in ministry, we kept going. We kept singing. We kept doing what we had to do. 3 months later, got pregnant again. Excited but fearful. Everybody's, rainbow baby. And we still share it. Now, this is still sharing pretty publicly. Even on, Facebook. I think we waited a couple of weeks to share because we were just so excited about the victory. Unfortunately, that pregnancy ended at 14 weeks. So at that point, we were done. We were like, no babies, no nothing. Let's just live our lives. And that's what we did. Went back to school. He kept doing what he was doing. And that was that. 2.5 years later, found out I'm pregnant again. This time, I wanted to protect my husband. I don't know how I thought I could do that. So I kept it for a bit. I waited about 5 weeks before I shared with him. Father's Day was coming. I wanted to make it huge and special for him. But the surprise was on me because when I went to my first ultrasound, there were 2 heartbeats. So I planned this elaborate surprise with people I love. But my husband, we get through it. Father's Day, we find out, we're having 2 babies. A couple of weeks later, we do the blood test and we find out we were doing it to find out what we were having. But in doing that test, we found out that our twins had a condition called twin-to-twin transfusion. It's basically a placental issue where one baby gets too much blood and nutrients and the other basically gets nothing. And they told us, it doesn't look severe right now. It should be okay. We're just going to watch you. So I was going in every week, getting all of these tests done. And at 21 weeks, they noticed that things were shifting. One baby was getting far too much. There was a huge size difference. So we knew there was going to be something. But we could have never imagined that one baby would literally go into congestive heart failure, essentially, and the other baby was essentially malnourished. So at 22 weeks and 6 days, we lost our first son, Jeremiah, and 2 days later, we lost our second son, Judah. And after that, all bets were off. I know these ladies can probably relate when I say this, and people think I'm crazy when I say this. I remember sitting on the edge of the bed and thinking in my head, I just need to let this man go and find somebody who can give him what he wants, because I don't need to drag him into this. It's clearly me. Something's wrong with me. Nope. I love him enough to not drag him into this and just let him go. And I remember trying to get the words out of my mouth and it would not come out. It was almost like I was stuttering over my words. So I just sat there and I just cried. And I'll never forget this. He turned around and he said to me, "You are enough. If we don't ever have a baby, you're it. I married you. So baby or not, kids or not, I married you and that's it. Let's keep living. Let's keep building. Let's keep loving." And that's what we did. Almost 3 years later, I'm in church. My bishop, we just joined this new church, and my bishop stops the service and prophesies to my husband and I, by my next birthday, you're going to have a baby. And I'm like, here we go with the prophecies. Well, people know that you've dealt with infertility and loss. They try to target you by saying, you all know the church games that people play. And so I'm like, oh, here go another one. Here go another one. All right, whatever. We go about our business. We moved into a new place, and I'm noticing I'm like super duper tired. But again, I'm chalking it up to I'm moving, lupus. I was blaming it on all kinds of stuff. And I'll never forget, for a week straight, my husband hounded me. You need to take a pregnancy test. And I'm like, well, he just prophesied. There ain't no way I'm pregnant. He's like, you need to do it. You need to do it. Finally took the test 3 days before we were due to see an adoption lawyer, and 5 days before our 5th wedding anniversary, we found out we were pregnant. And I remember praying a prayer very specifically to God. Please do not let me get pregnant if I'm not bringing a baby home. I can't go to L&D no more and leave empty-handed. I can't. Like, it's going to be the death of me. So I was like, okay, God, I know you heard me. I know you heard what I said. So, all right. And from there, the pregnancy was beautiful, uneventful, no issues. Everything came back great. We decided to take one last trip. I was 26 weeks pregnant. We decided to go to the Stella Awards, which my husband typically does. He was releasing a single, so it was a pretty big deal. We went to promote the single, and while in Las Vegas, my hands began to swell, my feet began to swell. I started getting short of breath. I just was not feeling good. So instead of going to the show, we caught a flight back home. By the time I got home, I could not fit my feet in my shoes. I was seeing black and white spots if I moved too quick, and we knew something was up. So in my mind, I was thinking I probably had like a blood clot from the flight. I didn't know. Got to the hospital and found out my blood pressure was 262 over 154. Beyond stroke level blood pressure. And that day I found out at 26 weeks and 5 days that I was going to have to deliver my daughter that day. There was a scripture while we were going through, and it just, I'll paraphrase it. If we suffer with him, we'll reign with him. And I always knew I wanted my daughter to have my husband's initials. but I didn't know what we were gonna do. And while all of that was happening, it clicked so clear. You gotta name her Rain. You gotta name her Rain. So we named her Rain Victoria. And Rain Victoria was born weighing 1 pound, 15 ounces. They said that she'd have cerebral palsy. She could be blind. She would be all types of things. Well, my daughter is now 3. She does not have cerebral palsy. She is extremely bright. We do have some prematurity related things taken around. We have lung disease. She still requires oxygen. We still have to treat her fragilely, but for the most part, she is none of what they said. So she is proof that if you suffer with him, you will definitely reign with him. She's proof that God's timing is perfect. And she was God's proof to me that he could do anything but fail. He hears you when you pray. You don't have to say it over and over again. He hears you. He knows, but you just have to trust his timing. So that's been our story. I didn't really realize that in between the losses, not getting pregnant, there was no prevention, especially in that last almost 3-year gap after the twins. Nothing was happening. Crazy cycles, all kinds of stuff. I kept trying to figure out what was going on. One time the blood work looked like PCOS. The next time it didn't. They couldn't really figure it out. And even since our daughter, trying to have another baby, I've never even shared this publicly, but it's been an issue trying to have another baby. So we're trying to figure out, well, what is actually up? We've done it before. We know we can do it again. Why are we not getting pregnant? So my journey with fertility is still ongoing. But all in all, I'm really blessed to have my daughter. After all of that, she is our rainbow baby 4 times over. And we're just so grateful for her. So that's my story.
And she's so stinking cute. She is gorgeous.
Thank you. That's her daddy's baby. I had nothing to do with that. She is her father's child.
Definitely want to thank you so much for your transparency and for sharing your story. It's a lot of that a lot of women can relate to. And I think that it definitely helps put things in perspective. And that's why the title of this is A Promise is a Promise. And what he promised you, you can still have. What you desire still desires you. It's just the process. And a lot of us get caught up in the process. Because if I'm quite sure if God would have told you from the jump, this would have been your process, you'd have been like, okay, yo, nah, I'm good. Thanks. I'm out. So sometimes he does have to take us through a rigorous process in order for us to be blessed to the magnitude that all 3 of you ladies have been. So I definitely want to thank you for sharing your story. Shar or Nay, rock, paper, scissors.
Nay, you want to go last? Okay. So mine's a little different. Mine was secondary infertility. So, not to dive too much into Kayla, that's like a touchy subject for me. I had Kayla, I was about 18 years old, 18 turning 19. So fast forward, when Ramon and I had got together, it was like, I think I want to have kids, but I don't really know if we can have kids. Like, he was pushing 40 and he didn't have any children. So I was like, all right, boom. I know this is like, we're going to be together. This is who I want to marry. Okay. For the time I had a cycle, like from the beginning of my cycle, I never had a consistent cycle. So, like when you're younger, they tell you, oh, when you get older, it'll regulate, right? So here you are, you're in your 20s, you're looking for it to regulate, and I'm still getting a cycle like every 3 months or whatever. So it got to the point where I would skip my cycles for 3 months, and then I would bleed for like 3 to 6 months. And talking to other women, researching, joining groups on Facebook, I diagnosed myself with PCOS. Like, I'm positive this is what I have, right? But one word of advice for women, the women that are listening, advocate for yourself, because you think these doctors know what they're talking about. You trust them, but they're not really listening to you, right? But we're going to get there. All right. So I go to doctors, and first they say it was my thyroid, right? Then they come back. I go to another doctor, and they're like, no, it's not your thyroid. We don't really know what it is, right? Okay. So we get pregnant. We were planning it, but not really planning it. Like I was tracking my cycles and my ovulation, but I wasn't really like going hard in the paint to have a baby. We get pregnant, and I had this whole plan, like Ebony, to tell him when we were that I was pregnant. I had this whole announcement plan, right? It was like his birthday was coming up. So I'm like, I think I'm probably pregnant, but I'm not going to say anything to him because I wanted to stick. Let it stick, let it bake a little longer, and we'll be good. Towards his birthday, I'll tell him. This was maybe in July. And then this was July, maybe 2018, I think. Yeah, sounds about right. But anyway, so anyway, we lost that baby. I kept feeling like sharp, terrible pain in my uterus. And I'm like, these are not cramps. Like, I know what cramps feel like. It got to the point that I couldn't even walk. And we were in the bed, and he had to take me to the bathroom because I was in so much pain. We go to the emergency room. I'm not going to name the emergency room, but it's the worst hospital that I've ever been to. We go to the emergency room, and we were in there for 18 hours. They asked me if we could be pregnant, right? Yeah, maybe, probably. I don't really know. So they come back and they say, oh, your test was positive. So, then we get all like, oh my God, like the test is positive. They said, but we don't see a sac. Oh, but it could just be too early. Like you should be okay. It could just be too early to see a sac. And I'm like, I should not be in this much pain if I am pregnant and this baby is sticky, right? Spend all this time in the hospital just for them to say, well, we don't really know what's going on, so we're going to send you to an OB. Go to the OB. She confirmed that we had indeed miscarried. This was my brother's birthday, July 26th. We leave out of the hospital. I'm in pain, but I still have to go to my brother's birthday dinner. Like I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to deal with it. Like I'm going to go celebrate my brother's life. And if anyone watching knows that my brother is a miracle. Like, so I'm not going to sit home and like dwell on what I lost. And I could have lost my brother like years ago. Go to the birthday dinner. We tried consistently for 2 years to get pregnant. It was not working. I was tracking my cycle. They say, take this medicine, I take this medicine. When I go to the GYN, the same one who saw me, because when I lost the baby, I started seeing a new GYN. So I go to her and I'm telling her all of my symptoms, and I'm telling her that in talking to other women, I feel like I have PCOS. She told me that I was overreacting. I needed to stay off of Google, let her be the doctor, let her do her job. Every month, she was pumping me with medication. Okay, you didn't have a cycle this month. Here, boom, take this. Oh, you didn't ovulate, you didn't get pregnant. Here, boom, take this. One of the medicines that she gave me actually was a double agent as a form of chemotherapy. And that's why I was like, you know what? I feel like you're not really listening to me. So I'm just going to go ahead and go see someone else, right? I go to a reproductive endocrinologist, a fertility doctor. Our very first appointment with this lady, she sits down and she talks to me. Black lady. She listened to me. She takes me in the room and she gives me an ultrasound and she confirms that I do indeed have PCOS. So I'm like, one, I'm relieved, right? But two, I'm pissed off because I've been trying for the last couple of years and you wasn't really listening to me. And I knew that I knew what I was talking about, but because I didn't have a medical degree, I don't really know anything, right? So she says, well, my fertility doctor was pregnant too. She says, I'm pregnant. I'm going on leave and I can't remember the month. She was like, but we're going to get you pregnant. So I'm excited. Like, okay, cool. I started a couple cycles. I think I had maybe one cycle and I didn't get pregnant. And I was frustrated. So then I started to deal with and praying for God to deal with me, because how do I operate in my faith, but my faith is frustrated? Like, my faith is frustrated. And, we're in church. So they tell you, when God is blessed, when he's blessed your neighbor, he's blessing, he's in your community. He's in your neighborhood, right? So it's like, how do I feel when I feel like you're missing my house? Like, you're going to everybody else's house. Everybody else is announcing pregnancies. And I'm sitting over here I'm sitting over here struggling. Then COVID happened. So in the midst of my fertility treatment, I now have to stop expecting to get pregnant because everything is shut down. everything is shut down. So then my second cycle, fertility cycle starts after they reopened everything up. I didn't get pregnant. So at this point, I'm really getting frustrated because I got pregnant via IUI, but I'm like, they only give you a couple rounds of IUI before they move you to IVF. And I don't really know if I want to go through to IVF, because not only at this point is it financially draining, mentally and emotionally, I'm tapped out. I'm done. I can't keep taking test after test after test after test, and they come back negative. My third one, which was actually the one that, I knew that my husband was the problem. Right? And because for me, it was like,
did you say you knew he was the problem or he wasn't the problem?
I knew it had to be him. It couldn't have been me. I got a kid,
Okay,
right?
gotcha.
I have a kid.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
it has to be Ramon. And then we getting there in the appointment, and they're like, your husband's fine, it's you. And I'm like, are you kidding me? They say it's secondary infertility. And I'm like, I have a kid. So you're telling me that after I have a kid, I have a whole teenager. You're telling me that I can't have kids, but I have a kid, right? So anyway, knowing that I was the issue, also battled with like my psyche. And like Ebony said, I told Ramon, you can go have a baby by somebody else. I'll be here. I'll raise the baby with you. I ain't gonna leave you. I'm giving you permission. Oh, thank you, baby. Thank you, baby. I'm giving you permission to go ahead, because, and I love the theme, a promise is a promise. I knew what I saw, right? I knew what I saw in my dreams. I knew what was promised to me, but it is not, Kayla. Thank you, Kayla. But it is not, it's not happening. So you can go ahead. I know that you desire to have a family. And even though, Ebony, like Ryan was saying, I married you, like you're it, even though you're saying that I'm it, I don't feel like I'm enough. You can tell me that all day. But I'm not believing it within me. So on the third cycle, I told Ramon, if we don't get pregnant this cycle, I'm done. Maybe we'll start again at the top of the year, but I'm done. I tested on a Wednesday, and the 2-week wait, I'm sure all of us can relate. It will stress you out, and you could be pregnant and you may lose the baby from stress, because I'm like, is it too early? Is it 2 weeks, like down to the hour and the minutes and the seconds, or like should I give it like another little hour to marinate? I took a test on a Wednesday and I wasn't pregnant, and I was like, oh, that's it, I'm done. I'm gonna give me a glass of wine. Poured the glass, tried to drink it, and I couldn't drink it. So I'm like, can I not drink it because God is like, you know better, and this is not how we deal with our problems? Or can I not drink it because I'm pregnant? Or could it be both? Is God telling me we don't deal with it this way? I got you. And during my whole fertility journey, God literally kept telling me to prepare my space. It's coming. Prepare your space. It's coming. So I started making baby onesies. Because one, I need something to distract me from being in my thoughts, because that's the worst place that I can be. And then two, at the time we were in an apartment, and I'm like, we're in a 2-bedroom apartment. There's no space for a baby in here. And I'm selfishly, asking like, God, give me a baby. And I'm honestly not prepared for this baby to even be here. My surroundings are not conducive for a baby. Like, I want to give her everything I was not able to give Kayla. I was so young with Kayla. So I'm in a whole different space. I'm in a whole different walk in my life. So I need to show that. Like, I need to welcome that. So we moved in the house that we're in now. Test on that Wednesday, not pregnant. Something said when he woke up that Sunday to go to church, which is actually September the 20th. And I know because that was our proposal date, our proposal anniversary. So he proposed on the 20th. We got married on the 27th. September the 20th, he woke up to go to church, and something says, go take a test with the first urine of the day. And I was like, this is a gimmick. Like, I gotta pee, Lord. So, and it's like, wait for him to leave. He was on his way to church. Wait for him to leave. And I'm like, okay. And I prayed the same prayer every time I took a test. Lord, no matter what the results are, just let me be okay. Just let me be okay. I don't want to sit and dwell that it wasn't positive. But Lord, after this one, I ain't doing no more. But Lord, just let me to be okay. I took the test. I took 2 tests. I walked out. I went in my room and I went back in the bathroom. And my sister's on here watching and my mom. And I saw 2 lines for me. And I was like, ain't no way. I don't got my glasses on. I can't find my glasses. Like, I need somebody else to see. I called my mom. My mom didn't answer the first time. So I called my sister. I'm like, Lamika, wake up. Lamika, look, look at this. And she's like, oh my God, you pregnant. I called my sister-in-law. Because I'm like, I need somebody else to confirm that I'm not losing my mind. I'm not losing my mind. So they all saw what I saw. And my mom comes over, and part of me is like, I don't want to get excited if this baby ain't gonna stick. But at the same time, I want to share my joy with my husband. I can't keep the secret, and I don't really keep secrets from my husband. So it's like, I can't keep this in because I'm so happy, but I don't want to get his hopes up, and then it does not happen because he may leave me for real. He gonna leave. I already gave him the permission, and I kind of sort of changed my mind on telling him he can go out, but yeah, Kirsten's here, but the whole journey was very frustrating. Was very frustrating because I grew up in church. We were raised in church. We are taught these things, right? But my faith, and even though you only need faith the size of a mustard seed, right? I felt like my faith was so much bigger than a mustard seed, and I was believing and I'm praying, and it's not happening. It's not happening. And it's like, a promise is a promise. I know what God said. I know what he showed me. I know what I saw. I am a dreamer. And if it happens in my dreams, it's 100% going to come into fruition, right? I saw it in my dreams, and I'm like, well, Lord, it wasn't pertaining to anyone else. It was me and my family and who I saw. Like, I know what I saw. Like, it has to happen. It has to happen for me. But Kirsten's here. She was born May 29th. She is my little miracle, blessing, rainbow baby. And I love her. I love Kayla too. So that's my story.
Yes, Kirsten was turning up last night. I told Shaw before we got on, like, sis was she was here for the party at 2 a.m. and she was just giving you all types of feels. But I'm definitely super, super proud of you for sharing your story. It's definitely helping a lot of people because the reality is, especially for people who are in church, like, it's almost like you can't doubt. Like, you're not allowed to doubt, or your faith can't be challenged. Like, you can't challenge God because you're just supposed to believe. But there are times where we believe God for things that he doesn't manifest the way that we see. And that's the reality. And that's the frustrating thing, that not only is it draining mentally, emotionally, and physically, but spiritually, like, you just be like, okay, God, what's the problem? Like, what am I doing wrong? Like, what am I missing? What lesson are you trying to teach me, or whatever the case may be? So definitely do appreciate you sharing that faith factor as well. Because it's a real thing. Like, it's a real thing, and it hurts. And then you get, feeling some type of way between you and God. Your relationship is affected because you're continuing, like Ebony said, like, I'm still faithful in ministry. I'm still doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm doing my part, and I'm just trying to figure out, where you gonna come and pull up the end of the rear. So definitely do appreciate that. Nay, you are the next contestant on The Price is Right.
Okay, so my heart goes out to all you ladies, and thank you for sharing, because I know it's definitely not easy. And listening to your stories, I'm just overcome with so many emotions because it's tough. And you guys can talk about it with so much strength and so much beauty and so much grace. So thank y'all for opening up to it. My story is a is a little different. I was diagnosed with endometriosis at 18. I suffered with really bad periods from the time my menstrual started until then, but they couldn't check me because I was a virgin. My doctor wouldn't touch me at all. So she said, when you lose your virginity, you come back to me and we're going to, do your exam and everything else. So I got my exam done. And she said, oh, I got to go in surgically. And that was my first surgery that I had. When she went in, she said, you have endometriosis. It's covering a lot of your uterus. Basically, with the disease, your chances of fertility, you can conceive, but the probability of it happening naturally is probably not going to happen, especially because of how much of the scar tissue that I had within my uterus. So at 18, I was hit with this news. So of course your mind goes spiral. Boom. Like, okay, I need to find a partner and I need to do this because at this time, so young, but my biological clock is ticking now because I'm like, if I don't hurry up and do what I need to do, I'm never going to have that chance of fulfilling my one goal, which is to become a mom. So that's how I kind of went on with my life. I kind of started seeking relationships and seeking things that I didn't need to seek at that time because of my diagnosis. I took my diagnosis and wore it as a hat. I wore it as this is what I have and I have to conquer this goal. It got worse. I was on Lupron shots. I was on different birth controls. Like I was on rounds and rounds of different hormones and different things to control it because it is very painful. But in the process, she was still pressuring me. Remember, you have to have a baby. You have to have a baby. And then it's the myth of with endometriosis that pregnancy cures endometriosis, which is just another fixated fad that's not true. So I was 25, 24, 25, and I had another surgery, and I switched doctors at this time. And this time, that doctor told me, okay, you had the surgery, I cleaned you out, I scraped your uterus, you're going to have to go to a fertility doctor. I went to the fertility doctor, and she told me, okay, this is what you're looking at. Your chances of conceiving on yourself, you're not going to be able to do it. You're going to have an IUI in order to get pregnant. But my insurance didn't cover that. So I have to come out of pocket for this stuff. So I was like, okay, I saved up for her to do that one procedure, which was extremely painful. I can't remember what it's called, but they pretty much shoot dye in your uterus and go into your fallopian tube to see how everything expands out. It was very painful to go through. But of course, because I wanted this baby, I was willing to put my body through so much in order to carry. So when she told me that, it was like a blow, like, wow, I'm 25. My friends are pushing them out. I know some girls are getting abortions. Like, here I am. Like y'all said, I serve, I sing, I do all these things for God, right? And it's like the one thing is just like, where is it? So I remember walking away from that office feeling hopeful, like, yeah, I can do an IUI. But then I had to think, like, sis, you're only 25. Do you really want a baby? Like, then my mind started playing all these tricks on me. Like, what would life be without this dream or fad that you had? So I decided to just go in and live my life. I was still young. If it would happen for me, it would happen for me. At 28, though, I decided to really get in touch with myself. I didn't know who Sharnay was because for that time before then, I was Sharnay with endometriosis. I allowed my disease to overtake me and to overpower me. I decided to reclaim my life back at 28, and I decided to really start being awakened with who I am on the inside. I gave up. I'm not going to lie. I threw in a towel. I gave up with wanting a baby. I gave up with wanting a real relationship. I gave up with wanting the life that I had envisioned for myself because we get this fixated thing that by 30 we have to be married, have a child, and settle down by 30. That's the way, that's the pressure that we feel. I'm 28, people like, you don't have no kids? Oh my goodness. Something wrong with you? Oh my goodness. So it's like, you start to feel the pressure, like, is something wrong with me? Like, is it okay? So I decided to change my narrative. Like, no, I'm 28. Yes, I have my own business. Yes, like I work. Yes, I'm proud of who I am as a woman and not proud of what I can do if I produce a baby. So like I said, I threw in the towel and I gave up. And last year, I got the biggest surprise of my life. Thanksgiving came, and well, let me backtrack. January of 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago, January, my doctor performed my last surgery. And I said third time's a charm because I had 3 surgeries at this time. And I told him, you're not cutting on me anymore. This is it. We're done. You're not doing it no more. He said, Charnay, I completely understand. I feel you. I'm not going to do it no more. But this time, I'm going to promise you a baby. And I said, that's not promising anything. Like, I'm not looking for it to have a baby. I'm looking for this so I won't feel the pain anymore. He did the surgery. I took myself off of everything. I took myself off of every hormone pill, every birth control. I went cold turkey. I also went vegan. I started working out more. Like I said, I really got in touch and in tune with my body, listening to my body, what caused my inflammation, my flares, and different things like that. And I feel like by doing that, it allowed my body to heal the way it needed to heal without the pressure of any other drug that I was on. So Thanksgiving, me and my mom was sitting at the table, and I was like, I don't feel well. And I was looking on Instagram, and the young ladies that come on to do like the horoscopes and stuff, I clicked one, and it said, for Libra, I see you pushing a baby carriage. And my mother looked at me and she said, you got something you want to tell me? I said, girl, get out my face. I don't got nothing I want to tell you. I ain't nothing over here. I'm good. Like, I'm good. She was like, okay, and I said, yeah, I'm for real. So the next day, Black Friday, I will never forget, I slept. And I was like, no, I got to get up. I got to get out and go to Michael's so I could buy me some Christmas bulbs and decorate them and different things like that. And I was like, while I was out, I got to eat. But when I went to Chick-fil-A, it was like I was ordering everything off that menu. And then I called my father, and he was still asleep. And I was like, Daddy, you still asleep? And he was like, I'm just so tired. I was like, Daddy, me too. You want something? So we ate Chick-fil-A. We ate ice cream that day. Like, I will never forget. And I'm sorry if I get emotional. Because we just laid in bed, and we ate all day. So my friend was like, Nay, you tired, you eating a lot, like you just need to take a test. So I went down to Family Dollar and I bought 2. And the boy was like, you need 2? And I was like, mind your business. So I went home and I took the 2 tests and it said pregnant. And I remember just crying. Like, I didn't know who to call. I didn't know what to do. I was just like, because this wasn't supposed to happen for me. I was supposed to have an IUI done. I was supposed to be able to, it wasn't supposed to happen for me the way that it did. So I was like, this can't be right. I got my clothes on. I ran out the bathroom. My father said, what's wrong with you? I said, nothing, Daddy. Ain't nothing wrong. I'm okay. I'm all right. I'm going to be right back, though. I got to go back to the store. I went back down to Family Dollar. I got 3 more. I don't know. What's the purpose? Like, I just kept taking them. He was like, you sure you okay? You spend a lot of time. Daddy, I promise you I'm fine. That night was my grandmother's birthday. So we went down to my grandmother's house. I was so nervous and so scared because, they say, the older saints, they can tell when you're pregnant before you can tell when you're pregnant. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, Jesus, please don't let my grandmother say nothing to me. Like, that's the furthest I stayed away from my grandmother ever in life. Like, I wouldn't even go near. I walked in the house and said, hey man, how you doing? I'm gonna just stay over here with my mask on because of COVID. And I kind of like stayed by the door. Like, I wouldn't go fully close to her. And then I was like, okay, the next day I got to go to the emergency room. Like, we got to confirm this. We need to see because this wasn't supposed to happen. And the last thing I know with endometriosis, you can get pregnant in your tubes. So I was like, I could be testing positive, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the baby's stuck. Like, let's just get this handled. So I went to the emergency room and I was like, I'm having a bad endo flare because I already knew. I didn't want to get my hopes up. In my mind, I wasn't pregnant. I don't care what that test said. I wasn't pregnant. So I was like, I'm having a bad endo flare. And
Nick? No, can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. Go ahead.
Okay. They took me in. She told me go to the bathroom. I went to the bathroom. And when I came back, she said, do we tell her? And the nurse said, oh, no, we ain't telling her. We're going to let the doctor tell her. We just going to let the doctor explain what's going on. So I was like, explain what's going on. They took me into the thing, and the doctor came and said, "You're pregnant!" And I just bust out in tears. She said, "Oh my gosh, I am so sorry." And I was just like, no, because it wasn't supposed to happen for me the way that it did, and I just want to make sure that this is real. So can I get an ultrasound? Can I get things to show me? And she said yes. And I remember playing Pandora Gospel Station. I haven't listened to gospel music before then. Not that I walked away from church, but I just kind of I wanted to get to know God on my level, because for so long I served under church, and I served church. I didn't serve God. I served church. So I kind of took a break from everything, and I really got into my relationship with God. That meant gospel music, everything, just kind of blacked it out and really listened to him more. And I remember putting on the music, and I remember praying the whole time, like God touching my stomach and everything. When we went up to the room and she pulled it up on the screen, and she said, "There's a sack, there's a baby, you're forming." She said, "Let me tell you how you caught it right there. Like, you are exactly 4 weeks. Like, you are hit. Like, this is it." And I was like, oh my gosh, so what do I do now? And she said, you gotta wait. You gotta go wait. You're fine. The baby's fine. We're not going to hear a heartbeat right now because you're so early. But I would say take it easy until you can get into a doctor. My anxiety went to the roof, because I was like, what you mean I gotta wait to get into a doctor? And what we mean, like, I feel like that waiting period right then and there, that's so early, because it's so hard. So I was like, okay, I gotta tell the father, and how all this is gonna happen, because everything is happening so fast. Like, one day is one way, and the next way it's like, baby, we gotta tell people. Like, my biggest thing was, how was I gonna tell my dad? Like, I'm a daddy's girl. And I thought he was going to be so disappointed in me, because he always said, I want you to get married, and I want you to do this, and I want you to do that. And the fact that none of that was going the way that I thought it was, I was so terrified to tell him. And it was right around in December, and we was all watching a movie, me, him, and my mom. And we were sitting on the couch, and the 2 movies that we watched, both of the girls were pregnant in it. They both found out they was pregnant. I was like, this is the time. So I made I already had the gift package to show him and to tell him. I made my parents a grandparents onesie. I made them a Christmas bulb that says coming soon 2021, and I put the pregnancy test inside of it too. And I said, Daddy, I called my brother, because that's my reassurer right there. If nobody else gonna be in the trenches with me, he gonna be the one. So I called him. I was like, I'm about to tell Daddy. He was like, oh, I'm hanging up because I don't want to be a part of this conversation. So I was like, all right, help. But he stayed on the phone, and I gave my father the box. And in that moment, I could just envision his face. It was so priceless. It was like, yes, I finally, and I had to look like, finally? Oh, okay, this is completely different than what I expected for you to have. And he was like, Charnay, I am so happy for you. And in that moment, it was like, that's the assurance that I needed to go through. And I didn't know 7 months later my dad was going to leave so expectedly. He passed away very suddenly. But in that moment, it's like I got to fulfill the dream that he wanted for his baby girl. Although my son will not be able to grow up with his pop next to him, the fact that I was able to do it right before my dad transitioned was just like, wow, I got to experience that for myself. So my little Ezra Christopher is here, and he came a week early. Yeah, close to a week early. He had his own plans. Clearly, that doctor said August 5th, and he said, no, I come when I want to come. My pregnancy was beautiful. My partner is amazing. Everything that I have prayed for and that I gave up on, God gave to me in an instance. If you would have asked me last year, how would my life be this year? I would have told you I'll be traveling, living my best life. I'm going into 30 next month. Like, this is it. This is Nay season. That's what I called it. Nay season. And it was Nay season for October because by November, sis found out she was pregnant. So I'm going to get my hot girl summer next year. The hot mom summer, whatever they want to call it. I'm going to get it. But it's definitely a promise is a promise because even though I gave up, he still rewarded me within it. So thank you guys.
Awesome, 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 awesome. I appreciate all three of you for sharing your stories. Just looking at the comments, going through, y'all have definitely been a blessing to so many people, to so many women who struggle with this. Like we talked about earlier, this is a conversation that our culture really doesn't explore, that we don't really talk about. It's just something that happens and then you move on as if it never happened. And so I definitely do appreciate your candidness. I appreciate your willingness to just share your story so that women like me and other women can know that anything is possible. And a promise is a promise. None of it, listening to your stories, nothing happened the way any of you planned. But it happened in a way that you are completely blessed with your bundles of joys, with your rainbow babies. So I definitely appreciate you guys so much for taking the time to share your story. We are a tad bit over time, but I did want to just throw in 2 questions that were asked. And then maybe we can definitely plan to continue this conversation at another time to do this podcast because it's helpful. Sometimes you got to see somebody else's promise be fulfilled for you to just get that idea or that thought that maybe I can try this again. Maybe I can do this again. Maybe I can push through. Maybe a promise really is a promise even for me. So sometimes you do have to see, somebody else literally go through the entire process of what you went through and to get to the other side and be like, y'all have absolutely adorable babies. And I think Ezra was turning up last night too, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. It was just something in the air. So it was just, everybody was like, they were trying to turn up last night. But so one of the questions, and I think, Shar, I think this would be more for you. Are you more overprotective of your rainbow baby because of what you have gone through? And how do you find the balance between the two?
Yes. I am more overprotective. And it isn't a slight to Kayla, but I had Kayla, so don't get me wrong, I'm very overprotective of Kayla too.
You are.
But I had Kayla so young, and we literally, yes. Sorry.
Ooh, her.
I'm sorry.
Kayla said, "Oh no."
Get me off of it.
We literally went through the mud together. So in that regard, from life experiences, I'm protective over Kayla, but over Kirsten, because it took so much for her to get here, and because this is God's manifestation of my prayer sitting on my lap, right? I am way more protective of her. And earlier, before we went live, you were saying that one lady was saying that she just wants to put her baby in the bubble. I don't know, Sharnae, are we Facebook friends? I don't know. But on my Facebook, I post all the time, don't touch my baby, don't look at my baby, don't breathe on my baby. Because not only, are we they're talking about your bonnet.
It's definitely the bonnet for me. She's giving me
because not
everything.
Only are we now experiencing COVID, before COVID, sorry, excuse my language, but y'all niggas was nasty, okay? And then add on to COVID, you're still nasty. So don't come to my house unexpected. Don't walk up to her and think you're gonna take your finger and be none of that, because I have to protect this. I have to protect her, and that's just what it is. It's not that Kayla doesn't need protection, but if you know my child, you know Kayla can hold her own, okay? But she is God's manifestation. So the balance, I don't really know if I have like a good balance, and I think it's maybe because of their age gap. Kayla's 15 years old. Kayla's 15 years old, and I protect her in different ways. So I can't speak on the balance because I probably don't have it, but yeah.
Understandable. Understandable. Your husband would like to know how many children did you see in that dream, sis?
My husband needs to leave me, and he keeps asking.
I mean, I mean,
I saw one more.
okay.
But I think he already knows the dream. I think he already knows. I saw one more. He said there is no balance. Don't do me, but he needs to leave me alone.
Y'all are so funny. Ebony and Nay, another question that was asked was what type of support? Well, Shar, this would be for you as well. What type of support did you have, and how did that make a difference, or did you have support? Based on your stories, it sounds like both of you did. But what type of support did you have through the process?
So I'm gonna push back and say outside of my husband and maybe my best friend, people meant well. They always seem to mean well, but impact is often greater than intent. People, would say things like, "So when y'all having a baby? So why ain't y'all trying again? Oh, y'all are young, it'll happen." And I'm like, that's not helpful. That's not helpful. So, and like even after my daughter got here and her being in the NICU, we just didn't have a lot of like people. It's like people don't know what to do, so they do nothing. They like get quiet. "Oh, I don't want to bother you," and I'm like, "No, bombard me, say something, ask me how I'm doing, how can you help or whatever." So now, in the role that I have now through my LLC, I teach people how to support, families who are in the NICU, those who are going through infertility and the like. So, I mean, my husband was everything, but if I'm honest, it could have been better. It could have been better. So we've had to teach our family what they did not do right, so that if it happens for someone else in our family, because we're the first, and we're the oldest grandchildren, we're the first to bring great grands. So everybody else under us is just starting to have kids. And, I'm like, if something go wrong, don't do what you did to us, okay? This is how you act. This is how you help. This is how you whatever. So, yeah, a lot of trial and error. But for those who, just call, say, "Hey, can I get you something? Can I buy you Starbucks?" Things like that make such a difference in the midst of a storm like that.
I think it is important to because like you said, a lot of times it happens like we're all church babies, but a lot of times it happens in church. The mothers, they be asking you when you're gonna have kids and all this other type of stuff. And although they mean well, you still have to be sensitive that everybody's journey is different. So like every time I see you, I don't want you to ask me when I'm gonna have kids, because after a while I'm probably gonna cuss you out, because I feel like it's insensitive.
And everybody don't want kids. That's the other part.
That too.
Everybody don't want kids.
And there's nothing wrong with that either.
Yeah.
So, but I think it is important for older people who are teachable, but I think it is important to just communicate that, because they do mean well. They mean nosy, but they mean well as well. So it's just important to communicate with people where they went wrong with some things. And that hopefully they, like you said, they'll do better for the next generation. Because that's a lot of pressure. So Nay, what about you? How was your support system?
My support came in so my mom and my dad, they're the only two that really knew the ins and outs of me having endometriosis and the things, and that any relationship that I was in, I was always very open, but I never was open to my friends about a lot of the things that I went through. And that's only because some people look at it and be like, "Oh, you're being dramatic. Oh, you're doing this, and oh, you're doing that." So you kind of learn to tailor what to say and what not to say, and trust those few people that you need to trust, and you just go through it that way. Throughout my pregnancy, definitely a lot of support. In the village I have now is just amazing. I couldn't have asked for a better village, but definitely through that journey, it was kind of my mom, my dad, my best friend. But other than that, a lot of people didn't even know. On my worst days, people didn't even know what I was dealing with.
Shar, you got something to throw in on that question? What type of support? What was your support like?
I mean, sure. My everyday support was my husband. And I just want to thank him because I know that it was not easy. I'm already like a hard person to deal with anyway, but then to add on just the infertility journey in a whole, I know that it was a lot on him. And my husband is very much like a man's man, so I want to make sure that my wife is good. That was my everyday. My mom was supportive. And I had my sister-in-law, she's also going through the same thing, so I'm very glad that she's watching. I hope you don't mind me, Morgan, but she was very supportive too. It was kind of like we encouraged each other, because in me, keeping my faith to keep going, it was encouraging her, but I also needed her encouragement, because at least I'm helping her. So if I give up, I don't want her to feel like she is, she got to give up. So by her being encouraged by me, kept me encouraged to keep going. And my sisters, Lamika and Nicole. Nicole prayed all the time.
That baby can pray too, honey.
That baby she will prayed all the time. And when I got the news and I told Nicole, I mean, she wept. I mean, I had a village, and if I could name like everybody's name, I'm gonna forget names. But like my best friend Brittany, I had a strong village throughout my journey and throughout pregnancy. But like my main supporter, like my quarterback, was my husband. Don't ask her about when she having a baby. Mind your business. I go ahead that way. Mind your own uterus, like all that. Like that was my person.
Amen. It's definitely important to, not saying that you gotta have a whole tribe of people, but it's definitely important. And when you go through anything, that you have some type of support. It doesn't necessarily take away the pain. It doesn't change the process, but it does give you a little bit more room to breathe, knowing that somebody is there to hold your arms up, wipe your tears, to push you, to encourage you. So it's definitely important. So that's definitely important. So I just wanted to create a conversation that never happens. I've had 2 miscarriages, and I went through it completely by myself. I had maybe 2 friends that were aware, but I had no idea what to do, like the process and how do you make sure that you, like all them doctor's appointments and all other type of stuff. It scares the hell out of me. So I'm just like, I can't, because like some of you have shared today, like that's draining. Like that's a lot emotionally to just keep going through the same thing and expecting like, oh, I'm going to be excited, and then it not, having the outcome that you want. So I know I probably suffered more because I didn't share. I think I just told my mother this year, and this happened a couple years ago. I just told my family this year, and this happened a couple years ago. So it's so important just to make sure that you surround yourself with people who know how to pray. It's important that you surround yourself with people who will believe for you when you stop believing. Because a lot of times it is the faith of our friends, not to be preachy, but the man that got lowered from the rooftop to Jesus's feet, that was his homeboys realized that, although he ain't gonna get up and go to him, we're gonna make sure he get to him. So it's definitely important for you to be surrounded by people who have your heart, your best interests, and have your support in everything. So I want to thank you ladies so. I think I see another baby coming on the screen. What's up, homie? Oh, he chilling. He like, wow, turn that light off. Yeah, that
I
ring
just
light.
want to say we need more time. I just want to say that we need more time.
I agree. So
Okay.
we can do this again.
That's
We're
fine.
definitely going to do this again. It has helped me. Because those that know me know I just adopt other people's kids. Everybody that knows me know I got somebody else's kid. I got 2 running around here somewhere at this point. So I just, it's helpful. So I want to thank you ladies so much for your transparency. I am so grateful to God that you were able to see your promise through. I'm grateful that God manifested everything and more of what you asked for. And if y'all want to make me some more nieces and nephews at any point in time, whatever, if you don't, that's fine. But since we all on this bandwagon together, I'm just saying we can say that. So for the people that ain't never had this issue, y'all can't say this. Okay, don't say this.
We just tell y'all to mind your own uterus.
We can say this, but the rest of y'all mind y'all uteruses. Okay, but I want y'all to be this. I mean, hey, I'm just saying, because you saw it too. That was more like, I feel the spirit leading me in this direction.
I need you to remember that Kayla's 15 and she just got here, so she'll probably be 15 before I
now.
I ain't say when. I just saw.
Now, come on,
another one.
You gonna be like me, 95 at the PTA meetings and stuff.
I give Charlotte a year, maybe 2.
Ebony,
I'm just saying, it's your dream, sis. That's all.
Maybe 2.
If you ain't saying about no dream, then we just want
to young. They're gonna be close in age.
Ebony be blocking. Don't worry about it. Be blocking.
Not she. Ebony, she said she blocking you.
Be blocking.
Oh wait, hold on. The spirit is moving in these comments. Your family is weighing in, sis.
She will be pregnant next. Lamika, mind your bit.
Okay, so yeah.
Let me say this. I went this whole time and did not cuss, so I'm about to mute myself.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Before I end up
I'm
cussing.
proud of you. But thank you, ladies, so much. We are. Ebony put her the baby and her husband out before it started. She evicted.
Yeah, they went to our friend's pastoral installation. So child,
she put them out.
But have us back. We can have the spouses and the babies. Have us back, and I'll have her here with you. But she's not a little baby. She's a preschooler. She's busy. So yeah.
I thank you, ladies, so much. Just to remind our viewers, we do have an event coming up called The Gathering, October 29th and 30th. It is just an opportunity to pretty much continue conversations like this and just to be in a safe space with women. We're capping at 60, and that includes the chef. So if you all want any more information about that, you can definitely check my website, because sis got a website. Boom, www.difficultbutdoablebrand.com. Boom, here we are. I plugs myself in here. But yeah, we just wanted to create a safe space for women to just grow together, to heal together, to network together, because there is a myth that has a little truth to it, that women can tend to be catty, disrespectful, and messy. So we're going to definitely take us in a totally opposite direction, and to just let people know that queens know how to be queens, and we know how to disagree, agree, keep it pushing, grow, heal, all that good stuff. So I want to thank you ladies so much, and we are definitely going to do this again. I don't think Shaw is going to let me forget at all. So yeah, y'all babies are so pretty. Do y'all have any last words of encouragement for any ladies that are watching? And that's how we just gonna fall out. And then you guys stay on, and I'll take the live off just so that we can say goodbye. But any last words, encouragement, thoughts that you want to share with everybody?
So, to our host, thank you. Thank you for letting us have this conversation. Thank you for being vulnerable and open and sharing, because I don't know how much of that you've shared publicly. So thank you. And though you brought us to talk about a promise is a promise, I hope that you too don't forget that you can have whatever you desire. So I hope that you, host, don't forget that while you're pushing us, we're pushing you too.
All right, next person. Thank you, Ebony. I love you.
My encouragement was also to you.
Oh, I said the people. I didn't say me. Okay, go ahead.
It's for the people too, but you do not have to go through this alone. You don't. And I learned that in talking to someone else because it is such like a taboo topic, and you know, no one ever talks about it because they don't feel comfortable to talk about it. So one, thank you for creating the platform so that we can talk about it, but you don't have to go through it by yourself. If you have no one else, you got 3 sisters here with you right now. And we all in some type of way can relate. I'm here to hug you.
Cry.
I'm here to hug you. I'm here to cuss you out when you start slipping. Like, what? I'm here to hold your hand. If you need somebody to go to the appointments with you, like we're here. We're here. You don't have to go through it by yourself. If you need to call to talk, if you need to vent, if you just need to get how you feeling off your chest, like I applaud you for making sure that everyone else's mental health is taken care of, but you also have to practice what you preach.
Next.
Period.
Nate, I would just hope, I would just really hope that you gonna come bring the back of this train up the right way.
Like, no, Nate, keep going.
Listen, I was going to say the same things, but they already beat me to it. So I'll just text it to you later on. That's okay. We can do it off the live. But I was going to say to everybody, anyone, just be gentle with yourself in your process. Everybody always say, what do you have to say? You have something to say? Everybody always say, extend yourself grace. Be gentle with yourself. And it'll happen for you when it's supposed to happen. Take your hands off of it and live your life. Not to what anybody else wants you to do, but to what God has planned for you. Take off the control. So that's all I have to say.
Amen. I love you, beautiful ladies. I love y'all beautiful children. Even Kayla that just used the baby as a head something so we wouldn't see her hair. Like she put Kirsten just like right here.
I've been telling her to do her hair. And
I said, wait a minute, what's she doing? She took the baby and was just like, okay. But thank you guys so much. So thank you ladies so much. We will definitely be having this conversation again soon. And that's about that on that. Next month's topic is October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So we have 3 ladies who have just recently fought the fight and the good fight and kicked cancers behind. One of them are near and dear to my heart. So I'm looking forward to that as well. Just so that we can create those conversations that most people just don't want to have. Even that within itself can be scary. And mammograms are not something that, you know, a lot of us, we don't really do our part sometimes. So we want to just make sure that both our men and our women are as safe as possible. So we'll be meeting with them next month. So I love y'all. I'm finna hit this end live button before they do too much. So